today's video, I'm going to be going over a bit of a beginner's guide to Upwork for all of those who are interested and not more so towards the freelancing aspect, but more towards how you can secure deal flow for your business, whether it's a B2B company or a marketing agency, the whole 9 yards. So just to get right into it, just going to give a brief introduction to Upwork. Upwork is a leading online platform that connects businesses with freelancers from around the world. Many of you are familiar with Upwork, but only from the point of view of a client. Thus, you assume that there are only low ticket deals on Upwork due to the influence of the experience you've garnered from past usage. Now, we have both the client and the freelancer on Upwork. Now, most of you go on to Upwork in order to hire an affordable virtual assistant or employee for your operations, whether that's for the client facing side or more of the back end. So you're used to paying an incredibly low price, at least comparatively to that of a professional, in order to gain assistance in a particular domain whereby you'd have to train the hiree. I'm not faulting anyone for thinking that these are the only types of projects there are on Upwork, but I just like to make the point here that I've signed 4 and 5 figure deals for my clients and myself over the last 7 months and 1 year respectively, all through Upwork. So I did Upwork for myself initially, and I've been doing it for my clients for 12 months, so a year. So one of my clients in particular that I've done this for is Dean. I have a case study from him that you can check out more on my website or on any of my social pages. But moving on, the purpose of this document is to dispel the preconceived notions you have on Upwork's feasibility as a lead gen source and to condition you on how to take full advantage of the opportunities I will net you on the platform. First things first, why Upwork? Now, Upwork is a very interesting lead gen source because it's like none other. So everyone's used to cold email, everyone is used to LinkedIn, Twitter, cold calling, etc. Where Upwork has a bit of an edge in the market, and the first thing being an access to a global network. So Upwork provides access to a vast network of clients from different countries, sizes, and backgrounds. What I'm actually saying by making a point of this is that the ability to penetrate multiple markets of a plethora of sizes and niches is unmatched to any platform. Now, I say this just because I've signed deals of a variety of sizes as well as from a variety of niches. So it's one thing to target one niche specifically, and it's another thing to be exposed to all of these niches at the same time. So you'll likely be able to dip your hand in various kinds of businesses, acquire case studies, and it would provide you unlimited flexibility in terms of who you're able to target or work with. Now, remember that in order to be successful in your outreach in the first place, you need case studies. You need to be able to prove your work to potential clients or prospects. And the only way to do that is by already having the work done, the most efficient and effective way to do this. So let's say, for example, that all your life or all your career, you've only been able to work with marketing agencies. However, you go on to Upwork and now you start to work with construction firms or businesses. You do phenomenal work for them and they net you a case study. You now have the ability to penetrate an entirely different market in construction because you've proven that you're able to do it with that newest case study. And it's as simple as that. Now, you ask yourself, I'd be able to do this even if I didn't use Upwork. But the thing about it is that more often than not, it requires an incredible amount of logistical intensity in order to delve into an entirely new niche, especially if you don't already have a ton of experience working in your prior niche or doing the work already. So that's why Upwork provides you with that opportunity whilst paying you to do it. So it isn't as though you'd have to be doing any free work or you have to be licking boots. You're actually being paid to learn about an entirely new industry, which will then proliferate opportunities in that industry. Moving on. So high buying intent, which is arguably my favorite aspect of Upwork. And it's the fact that unlike traditional lead sources, you aren't reaching out to prospects cold. Upwork has incredibly high buying intent. So meaning the prospect is as warm as they can possibly be. And if you're unfamiliar with the use or the context of these words, cold prospects are those that you reach out to without any prior relationship. So you don't know these people, they don't know you, they've never heard about you. You just reached out to them because you thought they'd be a good fit for your services. That is the textbook example of cold outreach method. So you can understand that if a prospect doesn't trust you, they don't want what it is that you're doing, they probably aren't even aware of the issue that they have, you'd understand that they'd be a bit more hesitant to buy as opposed to someone who is warm, which is the complete opposite. They actively are looking for someone to do what it is that you're doing. They're posting job requests, they're cold emailing, they're looking around for contractors or agencies. An example that most of you would be able to relate to is actually LinkedIn. So open to hire, that's a badge on LinkedIn for companies that are recruiting. That's an example of a warm lead. So you can think of every single Upwork prospect as having that badge on. Open to hire. They're looking for what it is that you're doing, which makes the sale incredibly easier. It's that much easier to close them because you don't have to put in as much logistical intensity into getting them to trust you, into responding to your message, or of course, into booking a meeting with you. So the issue with most lead sources is actually trust. So you're educating the prospect on your company, what you offer, who you are, why they should trust you, etc. So you can imagine that there is a ton of friction you must contend with before you can opt for the close. But with Upwork, all it takes is one call, which is exceptionally easier to actually book. So if there's one reason you should be on Upwork or why we're using Upwork in the first place, it's probably that. So moving on, it's an infinitely appreciating asset. So let's not get it twisted. Upwork isn't a one and done type of platform. It isn't send an email, get onto a call, and then that's it. We'll never use the email again if we don't want to. Once you've created your freelance profile, you'll have it forever. Now you may be asking, why is this significant? Why should I care? But you need to think about this as if it was social media. So as you gain more followers on your social media account, your credibility will inevitably increase. So it's a directly proportional relationship. So long as you don't employ fraudulent methods, of course. So everything is legit. So this directly proportional relationship will result in more organic lead inflow. Upwork is the exact same, if not better in this case. The longer you remain active with your Upwork profile and build a reputable personal brand, so you have high earnings, you have a ton of reviews, etc., the more clients you'll sign, and they'll be completely inbound. So remember what I mentioned earlier about these leads being warm? They can also reach out to you. And a large proponent of them reaching out to you has to do with the quality of your profile. If you're newer to the channel, you wouldn't know, but I'm a huge advocate of profile being the most important aspect of your entire Upwork career. So this is why we put so much emphasis into the profile building process, because we eventually want all of our leads to be coming to us. Now, Upwork is still relatively untouched and untapped. I'll be honest, prior to you discovering this video or my YouTube channel, you've probably belonged to one of two buckets, maybe even three. You've never thought of using Upwork because you deemed it to be too low ticket. You've tried Upwork in the past but had little to no success with it and deemed it as fraudulent. You've achieved significant success on Upwork as an agency owner, and that you'd be a unicorn. So I've spoken with hundreds of agency owners and freelancers from both extremes, and I can tell you this: most belong to the Upwork doesn't work faction. And this is great news for us, because that just means that there are more deals for the taking. Now, we need to understand why success on Upwork requires an unorthodox approach. So I briefly mentioned that Upwork is unlike any other lead gen platform on this planet. I phrased it like that for dramatic effect, yes, but it's true. Most of you have been conditioned into a one-track way of approaching deals due to the longevity of your careers in entrepreneurship. This is completely normal. However, chances are it won't work on Upwork. The nature of our partnership is for me to get you qualified leads. So this whole partnership, you watching these videos, is my entire goal is to get you qualified leads on Upwork, but I can't close them for you. So therein lies the problem. For those of you who do get leads via Upwork, you always default to a typical sales process. But Upwork requires an unorthodox approach to a typical sales process, which wouldn't pose a problem to a seasoned salesperson, but it's worth noting nonetheless. Now, I have a bit of a diagram here. So the Upwork sales cycle. So the first two steps would be our responsibility, but it's integral that you have a clear understanding of the process on both sides. So huge disclaimer here, do not do two call closes. So step one, job application. We'll apply to jobs in keeping with search parameters we've set based on data we would have collected on an onboarding form. This is the same process I use for my clients. So step two, we'd handle inbox management. So every instance in which a client responds to the proposal will be covered by us within an hour, typically. So the goal of our response is to book in a sales meeting with a prospect on your behalf, or in this case, you would be doing this. So step three, sales call. So the sales call will be handled completely by you. Please note, the optimal way to take and inevitably close these calls is using a one-call close. So step four, collaborate and monitor progress. So collaborate closely with the client and establish clear communication channels. expectations, and method of payment. Regularly monitor their progress, provide feedback, and ensure they are aligning with your company's vision. So handle client from max LTV. That's the TLDR. If you want a successful Upwork career, you need to be following all of these steps. It will get you from point A to point B the quickest. So let's talk about why success on Upwork requires an unorthodox approach. I'd like to put extra emphasis on step 3 because even clients I have now struggle with it. I mentioned earlier how Upwork is a high intent platform. The positive aspect of this is that closing is much simpler. However, the negative aspect is that the same is true for your competition. Meaning, if you fail to close a deal in one call or at least set up a follow-up call, that lead is most likely gone for good. Why? Because they are most likely speaking with 5 other applicants that have potentially lower prices, more experience, and a similar location, which are determinant factors in whether a client goes for a freelancer or not. So the 2-call close framework simply does not perform as well for this reason, and I have facts to back this because I've been doing this for so long. So you're actively shooting yourself in the foot by prolonging the sales process. So Upwork is a platform that only gets easier with time. The more experience, earnings, testimonials, badges, certifications, etc. that you have, the easier it is to get jobs both inbound and outbound. I previously likened it to social media, but it can truthfully be applied to any scenario within a professional context. The longer you have been doing something, the more people regard you as an expert within the space, which they can undoubtedly trust. So this ideal certainly won't be built overnight, but it's integral that you enter this partnership with the prospect of it being a long-term investment. This is a partnership between you and Upwork. Always remember, never forget. If you want to check out one of my other videos to see how well or how much better you can perform on Upwork, then I probably linked it somewhere around here. And if you like the content today, don't hesitate to like and subscribe. Catch you guys later. Peace.